Dr. Dinesh Kowski. In this video presentation, I will be sharing with you about a small trick on how to practice dentistry safely during this COVID era and post this COVID lockdown. So I am pretty sure that most of you might have researched about how to practice dentistry safely, starting from change in the reception area to modification in your health questionnaire and say for example asking the patient to do pre-treatment rinsing with antiseptic mouthwashes and using as much as disposable items as possible and using devices to capture the aerosol generated and possibly considering operating in a negative pressure operatory. So all this will potentially minimize the cross contamination due to aerosol contaminated with this virus. And you might also consider using various disinfectants to clean the surface area which is contaminated by this aerosol generated during the treatment. And in this technique, what I will be showing you is applying a technique to minimize the generation of infectious aerosol. How to practice dentistry with generation of lesser amount of infectious aerosol. Now mark this word carefully, it's infectious aerosol. I am not telling aerosol will not be generated, but we can minimize the generation of infectious aerosol. So what is that technique? Is it novel? Definitely not. It's proposed in the 19th century itself. Way back in the year 1864, Dr. S.C. Barnum introduced this technique. Now I am sure most of you would have guessed what I am going to talk about. It's nothing but the rubber dam. So apply rubber dam consistently, it will minimize the aerosol production to a huge extent that you can practice dentistry safely. Now what actually it does in minimizing the aerosol generation? See, imagine the oral cavity. You have the tooth, tongue, saliva, many operative procedure may even generate blood, and you have gingival gravicular fluid. All these are infectious. So how about isolating the tooth separately away from all this infectious material? So rubber dam does exactly the same. So your tooth or the operative area is isolated from infectious fluid. You will be operating only on the dry tooth structure, and there will be lesser or significantly lesser amount of infectious material which is being generated. So come in this presentation, I will be discussing about the clinical steps in applying rubber dam and various paths and how to go about applying rubber dam. Any doubt you have, you can always contact me through the link which I will provide. Thank you very much. So in this presentation, I would like to share what are the various importance or advantages of using a rubber dam. First and foremost is that when you are not using rubber dam, you are at the risk of instrument aspiration or swallowing. Why does it happen? You may be using a very minute instrument in the form of dental burrs or endodontic files which may slip out of hands easily, and the patient may swallow or aspirate it. And again, it's a risky condition. To avoid that, you must use a rubber dam. Second, imagine you are doing an endodontic therapy without rubber dam. What is happening here is you are allowing more and more of saliva to get into the canal. And we all know that the main cause for apical periodontitis is bacteria. And your saliva is a good source of bacteria. You definitely don't want saliva to get into the canal. So if you are operating without a dam, you are running the risk of developing secondary apical periodontitis or persistent apical periodontitis. So that may explain why the success rate is more if you apply a rubber dam and do endodontics, and if you don't apply a rubber dam, the success rate may drop. So to have best possible outcome, please apply rubber dam. And the third thing is that, see, you are doing some restorative work, class 1 or class 2 composite filling or glass iono filling. If you don't apply the rubber dam, what will happen is there is high chance for salivary contamination. So we all know that most of these materials are hydrophobic, they don't like water. So in those conditions, you just give that sophisticated environment for that material. So your success rate will again increase. And finally, one more thing is that it is also useful for ease of operation. See, you are operating on one teeth. Why should you be bothered about saliva? Why should you be bothered about the tongue, the soft tissue, buccal soft tissue? So if you isolate that, your focus will be only on that tooth that is being operated. So these are all the various advantages of applying rubber dam. So this video, I like to motivate you people to start using rubber dam on a consistent basis. Trust me, if you start applying rubber dam on a consistent basis for at least 30 cases, take that will and skillfully apply rubber dam for 30 cases. Your 31st case, you will find it hard to work without a rubber dam. Thank you very much for watching. The next presentation, I will show you the various components of rubber dam, and I will also try to give a small demonstration of rubber dam on model, and finally I will also give you a small demonstration on a live patient while doing endodontic therapy. Thank you. In this presentation, I will share with you about the various components of rubber dam as well as how to apply rubber dam on a model. So first of all, the main and principal part of a rubber dam is the rubber dam sheet. You have rubber dam sheet in various forms ranging from 5 into 5 inch size and 6 into 6 inch size. See, when you are operating on a pediatric patient, you will prefer a small one, and you are operating on an adult patient, you will prefer a big one. This is a 6 into 6 sheet. It is also available in different colors. You have it in green, blue, even black, and that is for a contrast when you are doing some aesthetic procedure. And you also have rubber dam mainly made up of latex, and when you have a latex sensitive patient or latex allergic patient, you also have latex free rubber dams. So that is not a contraindication. Latex allergy is not a contraindication. You have options. In rubber dam you have two sides. If you can see, you have a shiny side as well as a dull side. The dull side is slightly powdered to enhance the contrast when you are operating in the oral cavity. So that's about the rubber dam sheet. It's highly elastic. You also have scented rubber dams with various flavors, mint and strawberry flavor, to increase the patient acceptance of rubber dam. Then you have what is called the rubber dam punch. This is used to create holes for the placement of the rubber dam sheets onto the tooth. So this is called a rubber dam punch. You have a punching table as well as a punching pin. So you have different sizes. You have holes of different diameter. The biggest one is for punching the distal most anchor tooth, and you also have for regular molars, premolars, and on rare occasion you have this least one for the lower mandibular central incisor. So that this is about the rubber dam punch. And this is your rubber dam forceps. This instrument is used to carry the rubber dam clamp onto the tooth as well as to remove the rubber dam once the treatment is over. So this is the rubber dam forceps. So this is like a normal forceps, and you have some extension. This will enter into the holes in the rubber dam clamp, and with this you can use the clamp for placement and for removal. Rubber dam forceps. And you have the next important component. That is the rubber dam frame. Okay. So the purpose of rubber dam frame is it will hold the rubber dam in position. You may not have to hold it manually. It will hold the rubber dam in position once it is applied. So the three components we discussed are rubber dam sheet, forceps, punch, and frame. You have it in plastic as well as metal. These extensions are used to provide the additional grip. Okay, this is the main component that will hold the sheet in position. These extensions. Okay, the barb-like projections over here. And most important thing is the rubber dam clamps. Basically, you have clamps for different teeth. Say for example, this is a posterior clamp. This is a clamp for premolar. This one is for anterior and for gingival retraction. And this is a wingless clamp mainly used for gingival retraction and during veneer cementation. So what are the components of the clamp? Clamp mainly consists of two jaws. One for the buccal part and one is the lingual one. And the interconnecting part, bow-like extension, you can see that this is the bow of the clamp. This connects both buccal and lingual jaw. And you have two holes here on the jaw aspect. So this is for you to be able to use the forceps to carry the clamp onto the tooth as well as for removal of the clamp from the tooth. So this extension is the wing. Okay, you can see that. Whereas in this clamp there is no such part. This is wingless. So both of them has its own advantage and disadvantage. For example, the advantage of winged clamp is that You must have learned that there are different techniques for rubber dam application, like you can apply the sheet first or carry the rubber dam sheet, clamp and frame together. So that is possible only with the winged clamp. With wingless clamp, that ease is not there. But one advantage with wingless clamp is that you can apply it in limited space. Say for example, some patient may have macroglossia or thick pad of buccal tissue. In those patients, instead of a winged clamp, you may always prefer a wingless clamp. So wing has its own advantage and wingless clamp has its own advantage. It depends on preference. Okay. See for instance, this is a premolar clamp. This fits perfectly onto a premolar. Clear? And once you place the clamp, you should check for the stability of the clamp. Slightly check it, because once you operate on the patient, it should not pop out and surprise you and the patient. So it should be firmly placed. And this is a subgingival clamp mainly used for veneer preparation and cementation. Okay. You also have different clamps for molars and anterior. This is the butterfly clamp mainly used for anteriors as well as for subgingival retraction. So how to maintain the clamp? These are all these devices can be used multiple times. What I mean to say is that you can sterilize them effectively and utilize it for multiple patients. So after patient use, disinfect it with a recommended disinfectant, and please autoclave it before using it on another patient. These are called wedgets. Okay. What are wedgets? In some conditions, you may not be able to clamp the tooth, or in some condition, for the ease of operation, you can have wedges in place of a retainer. So this will act as a retainer. In between two teeth, you can use this wedges for retention. I will give the demo once I start giving demonstration of rubber dam application. And what does you have a rubber dam template? So what is a rubber dam template? Rubber dam template has different markings here for maxillary tooth and mandibular tooth. So whichever tooth you are operating on, you just place the rubber dam sheet over it and mark that particular tooth. For example, if you are operating on maxillary central incisor, right central incisor, you will mark here and then punch on that exact location. Okay, so that is the purpose of a template. So initially, when you are learning rubber dam application, you may need to use this consistently. Once you master rubber damology, you may not use it on a regular basis. Dental floss. Why do I need a floss? Floss is needed for at least two purposes. One is, say, like here. You may have to tighten the clamp with floss. If you remember, in the previous video, I told you that the main role of rubber dam is harm prevention. It will prevent aspiration of any instrument. But what will prevent aspiration of a clamp if at all it slips? So to avoid that, you will place a floss as a safety factor. So if at all some untoward incident happens, you can safely pull it out. Okay, so that is the purpose of floss. And one more thing is that sometimes you may have tight contact. Okay, what you can do is that you can actually separate the tooth with wedgets and then apply the dam, or you can place the dam sheet and use floss to push the rubber dam sheet into the interdental space. So that is the purpose of floss. And you also may need lubricant, water-based lubricant to ease the entry of dam sheet into the interdental spaces. So that is a water-based lubricant you have. And you may also need some resin, flowable kind of resin, as to function as a liquid dam. So see, for example, you are operating on a single tooth. You may not have that tight seal. You might prefer to invert the rubber dam. But if you are doing some endodontic procedure where you apply a rubber dam clamp on single tooth, you may not have the 360-degree coverage. So in those cases, easily you can use liquid dam around that clamp and cure it. So that's about the basic components of rubber dam. So without wasting further time, I will demonstrate how to apply the rubber dam. First on a segment and then single tooth isolation for molar. First place the sheet over the template. Dull side outward, okay? And this is not mandatory, but you can use this technique if you want. You can either punch or mark at any one quadrant. I prefer using the second quadrant. Why? Because, see, for example, during framing the sheet, in anterior region you may not have the problem, but sometimes when you are framing after clamping the posterior tooth for endodontic purpose, what will happen is this will turn arbitrarily, causing a lot of confusion, like which side should come where. So to avoid that, you have the habit of marking one side. So which means that for me, whenever I mark here, it will be the second quadrant. So this is like additional step. If you want, you can. If not, you can skip that. So for example, I need to operate on a canine tooth or premolar. What I will do is, of first quadrant, I will usually take anchorage from a molar. So I have marked maxillary first molar, second premolar, first premolar, canine, the lateral, central, and I will move on to the next quadrant for better isolation. Maxillary left, central incisor. Now, as I said, for the distal most anchored tooth, you can use the largest punch possible diameter. Punched. And for other tooth, 4 or size 3. I have already tied floss around the clamp. As I said, I would like to repeat, the main function of floss is harm prevention. In case of any untoward incident, if the patient swallows the clamp, you can easily pull it out. Or sometimes if the clamp is overworked, what will happen is it will fracture or separate into pieces and pop out. So in all those incidents, this will prevent any harm. Okay. And one more question you may have is whether this bow will come distally or mesially. So it will always come distally. Okay. So if you place it mesially, what will happen is it might itself obstruct the field of view. So to avoid that, you will place the bow distally. I'm taking anchorage from the molar. Yeah. So what is the next step? You will verify the stability of the clamp. See, close. They say that we should have 4-point contact. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. This will ensure that the clamp stays in position during the entire operation. Okay. The next thing is that you apply any preferred water-based lubricant onto the surface, shiny side, because this will go into the sulcus and interdental areas. And after that, you can pass this floss through all the interdental spaces to ensure that the sheet has gone into it correctly. Then you may want to invert the dam sheet into the gingival sulcus gently. The main goal is it will get tucked into the sulcus and will enhance or aid in further isolation. So once that is done, you use your wedges. So for an anterior, sometimes you may not need a clamp. Most often, a wedge may be sufficient. So you can use your wedges. The last step is framing the sheet. So as I said, this is my second quadrant and this is my first quadrant. That's it. Now if you want to do a class 5 filling or class 1 filling or class 2 filling, the only thing, it is easier to work in such an environment that is free from salivary contamination and free from the disturbances from buccal soft tissue at tongue, and you are safe, your instruments are all safe from being aspirated, and there is no salivary contamination. Your material will sit in a sophisticated environment, and you can also stay focused only on the tooth that you are operating, and ultimately your success rate will be always better. Welcome to the next session of rubber dam application. In this session, I will demonstrate how to apply rubber dam for single tooth isolation, especially for root canal treatment. So imagine we are going to treat right mandibular first molar. Okay. So after proper anesthesia, what we will do is, this is the technique in which you will carry sheet as well as clamp together. This is the advantage of winged clamp. You can take the support of the wings and then you can take the sheet and the clamp together. So go below the height of contour. So now release this flap of rubber dam. It is attached to the wings, so that will surround the tooth three-dimensionally, circumferentially. Okay, that's it. This is for single tooth isolation, and after this what you can do is use liquid dam around the tooth, around the clamp. Light cure. Yeah, thank you. The last step is you apply the frame. There you go.